My name is Liz, the voice behind the hands, I guess, of Heretic Owl Tarot. And I'm like, where am I looking? Here we go. Hello. I keep feeling this urge to get on here and show my face, and I don't know why that is. Why would I do that? I don't know. Um, but here I am. So when, so this urge started kind of coming to me, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what would I even do? Like, the thought of actually doing a tarot reading by like showing my face like this, no. So my other thought, and part of that is because I'm like, you'll probably notice this at some point, but I cannot hold a focus to like this little, camera lens. I look all over the place. I usually, when I'm sitting here doing tarot readings, I'm looking outside. I'm staring at trees. I'm watching birds. Like, um, so I don't know. It's like, do I can't imagine showing my face when I'm not even looking at, the camera because I can't hold my focus there. So I don't know. Anyway, when I kind of started thinking about like, well, what would I do? Because, just wanting to honor that urge, that feeling, because it does feel good. But, I was like, okay, well, what would I do instead? So then I thought, well, maybe I'll just kind of get on and like introduce myself and give, some little tidbits about me. Because I don't know, have I ever really done that? I have no clue. I don't remember. But also too, just to say that I realized that I was a bit inconsistent last year as far as posting videos and when I was posting videos and how often, whatever. And I don't know how much of that is going to change, but I do want to make it a priority again because I really do enjoy doing this. I love I love tarot readings. I love giving them. I love receiving them. I love watching them. So but part of the reason, and actually the actual reason why I was so inconsistent with that last year is because I felt like I was dying. Not to be dramatic, but I was basically operating at like my lowest setting, like basic survival, really. And come to find out, I was actually diagnosed with severe sleep apnea, which I believe that I've actually been suffering from since high school, which was a long time ago. But I was really relieved, though, to receive that diagnosis because also there was already like a path of treatment available, and it was then waiting for that because, of course, that took a lifetime to finally come around. But I've been on CPAP treatment since the beginning of January, actually, and I feel like a completely different person. I mean, I feel alive, which feels good. I feel rested. I feel present. It just, what a difference it makes. So I'm also convinced that everybody has sleep apnea. So if you have access to it, highly recommend a sleep study because, man, the power of sleep, right? So anyway, I'm also like I'm very excited to do my first set of videos after being on treatment for a month. I guess today would be a month. Today is February 5th. I have no clue when I'm actually going to start the actual tarot readings. I don't think I'm going to do that today, probably tomorrow. But anyway, I'm excited. I mean, maybe nothing will change. I don't know. Maybe some things will. We'll see how it goes. But how exciting is that? It's exciting for me anyway. I also might like I don't really have this set up to do the, like the my table and me, but I might see if I can finagle something and just try it. Just, have like the camera on the table and then have like a little overlay of me in the corner. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If you don't see me up there, I didn't figure it out because I'm not super tech savvy in that type of way, but maybe eventually a solution for that will come up. But otherwise, just a little bit about me because I did kind of decide that I was making this an introduction type of thing, but I can't give you too much information because the more I remain mysterious, the better. And that is because I'm a 5/1 human design profile, manifesting generator, emotional authority. And with that 5/1 profile, the whole familiarity breeds contempt. Um, did you, if you heard Taylor Swift's song Bejeweled, she says that in there. She's a 5/1 also. So I'm like, there's no doubt somebody gave her a human design reading somewhere down the road, right? Or she could have just Googled her own chart. But anyway, so yeah, the more I remain mysterious and behind the projection of the fifth line, as long as it's a positive projection, right? Because on the other side of that is being burned at the stake. But anyway, so 5/1 manifesting generator, emotional authority, lifting a cross of uncertainty. I have a lot of gates in uncertainty gates, so I'm never sure about shit. But even, like as far as like putting my face out here, right? Like part of me, like I feel like there is kind of this like evolution, just there's some sort of change I feel as far as either the way that I present videos or the way that I do them. And part of me, like a big part of me wants to wait until I figure that out. I don't know if that's my Virgo moon. I don't know what that is, but the other part of me is like, no, I mean, like we figure it out by trying, right? So you kind of like push through the uncertainty and eventually certainty shows up. So we'll see what happens. But I'm a Cancer rising, if you can't tell by my super round face. I'm also a Cancer Venus. And like I said, Virgo moon, Taurus sun. And what else? I am clearly into plants, if you can't tell. I also sell plants. I have a plant stand at a coffee shop in downtown Colorado Springs. So if you're ever in the area, check out the Perk downtown. I have my plants in there. I absolutely love it. It's so fun, but my house looks like a jungle because it's also my greenhouse. It's where I keep my property for that business. And I am attuned to Reiki master level. And before every reading, I set the intention for the message to come through me, not from me. I clear the space. I also get consent from every deck that I use in every reading. I have consent from it to use it for all 12 readings. And the way that I do that is usually there's a deck that just kind of like pops up in my mind. And I'll shuffle that deck until a card comes out. And if it's a general positive card, I take that as a yes. If it's a general negative, quote unquote, card, then I take that as a no and I'll try a different deck. I do that for all my readings, personal readings, if I'm doing an event, obviously YouTube, Instagram, which I've also been super inconsistent with and want to get back on to posting daily readings on there. But anyway, I get consent every time from the decks that I use to use them for the readings. And is there anything else? I realize like how long this actually is, and now I'm like, shut up. So is there anything else I want to tell you for now? Because I just lost my train of thought. I don't know. That's it. I'm so glad that you're here. If you watch this whole thing, thank you. Follow me on Instagram for daily readings eventually, if you care about those. And last thing I'll say is that I do my readings based on human design profile, and you don't have to know your human design profile or anything about human design in order for the message to be for you. I mean, if anything, you would have to know your human design profile, I guess, right? But you don't even have to know anything else about it. You don't have to know anything about human design. I don't generally go into very heavy human design terms. I might talk about strategy and authority sometimes, but the message is still the message for you, even if you have no clue about human design. And if you don't have any clue about human design, I'm happy that I introduced you to it, because it unlocked some stuff for me that was pivotal in my healing and self, acceptance and love journey. So anyway, I think that's all that I'll say for now. If there's anything else that I'm missing, I'll just say it in the video. And I'll see you later. Bye. So let's just get into it. It's so funny because part of the fun of doing these readings, and I feel like even part of the fun of doing tarot readings in general, is the ride leading up to actually sitting down here and doing each reading. I feel like with every single reading, there's always something. And especially like if I start like having the intention to sit down and do these readings, and especially when the urge or the desire or the pull to sit down to do these readings starts showing up around me, I start paying attention to what else is happening, because no doubt it's part of the message. So I was actually doing physical labor and I finished like as much as I could get done, and I had this overwhelming urge to sit down and do the 1-3 reading. Usually and we'll get into it. I'm sorry, I'm just fast forward until the shuffling part if you don't care to hear me talk. But I usually pull the order by, like, I have this bowl here, if you can see it. And I usually pull the order from that. I have all 12 profiles and all 12 zodiac signs too, because I used to do zodiac readings. I used to do both a human design profile and zodiac readings. But anyway, so I usually pull the order out of that. And that started happening because I stopped wanting to decide what order the readings went in. And now I'm kind of like, I don't really want to use the bowl. I kind of want to go in order from 1-3 to 6-3. So anyway, all of that is to say, though, I find it kind of interesting that, I had this urge to sit down and do the reading, and the 1-3 profile kept coming to my mind. And I was like in the midst of doing physical labor. So I wonder if you have been in a position or just kind of find yourself either doing more physical labor or even just like using your body more. It doesn't have to be that, like your job is a physical labor type of job. It could just be that you find yourself moving around a lot more or just exerting a lot more energy lately, having to use your body that way. And it's What is so funny too is that the card that came out is Hibernation and Regeneration. So if you have been doing a lot of physical labor lately, it feels like, the energy is available, or it's prioritizing rest. That is way too many. We only need 6 cards. Especially if you're a non-energy being, like manifesting generators, and generators are the only ones that have the sacral center defined. So we have that constant, that's interesting. That came out in the reverse. Did you see how that flipped? I hope you did. Like, I hope I can put the video in there, because it did flip around and it wound up in the reverse. I haven't flipped it over yet, but so generators and manifesting generators are the only types that have that continuous availability, or like tune into life force energy. However, that doesn't just mean that, like you have just an endless, boundless amount of energy. Everybody's natural state of being is rest. So even if you are sacral, it is prioritizing rest, because take it from a manifesting generator, you can burn out. And I feel like it's even, I don't want to say like worse, because obviously I don't know what it's like for projectors or reflectors or manifestors with burnout, but like, I think the conditioning that comes along with probably all of the types, because all of the types are conditioned to be like generators and manifesting generators. But since we have that plug into that life force energy, we feel like we can keep going. And we keep going past the point of exertion. And especially too, if it's not even something that you enjoy doing, if it's not something that lights you up, if it's something you're not even passionate about, that just kind of drains you even more. So anyway, the oracle card that came out was Hibernation and Regeneration. So again, just be sure that you are prioritizing rest, because also too, like that's where we get a lot of guidance and information, is when we are resting, when we're quiet, when we're not constantly being distracted by doing. This, the High Priestess in the reverse. Interesting. We have the 7 of Pentacles, the 5 of Cups. It is interesting that the High Priestess comes out in the reverse, because that's kind of, that feels like what I was saying, as far as when we're not quiet, when we are like distracted by constantly doing, we can't hear the message. We can't tune into our intuition. And maybe that's even in part because like we know what we need to do. Maybe we know we need to take a break. Maybe we know that we need to give ourselves a break, or whatever like kind of intuitive message is coming through. But usually when we start wanting to distract or resist, it's because there's something that either we already know, or that we're being guided towards, that we don't really want to admit yet. Or even sometimes like we don't want to get into that energy. That's too many. We just need 3 more. The Tower. That is too many. We're down to 2. We have the 8 of Swords and 1 more. We have the 10 of Pentacles. I'm not going to take those, but And then the 3 of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Star card. Yeah, okay. Let's just start with a high priestess in the reverse. I love this high priestess anyway because she's doing a tarot reading. Well, I mean, she's looking into her crystal ball, but she has some tarot cards laid out. She has the cat is playing with the ruins. But so the high priestess I see is our direct connection to our star player. It's our higher self. It could be God. It could be source divine if you believe in a higher power. If you don't believe in a higher power, then it is just your connection to your intuition, because we all have it. And it's also, it's receiving messages. It's listening to yourself as far as like guidance goes. And it's a 2. So it's at the beginning of the fool's journey. So it's even just intuiting what you want to do, what options are available, like almost even kind of like envisioning the future, obviously, because she's looking into a crystal ball, right? And that's kind of the cliche or whatever thing about crystal balls, right, is looking into your future. And with it being in the reverse, again, like I was saying at the beginning, it's like there's either some resistance to that, or it's almost kind of like not really want to believe that, because it's, sometimes when we do get an intuition about things, it's like, no, because it doesn't line up with maybe what we think is best for us, right? So, or if it's like just something that's in a completely different direction, or it's something also where it's like, what would I even do if I wasn't doing this thing? Or who would I be if I wasn't identifying as whatever, a girlfriend, a wife, a office employee, whatever it is, right? But it's like you have that feeling that there's definitely change on the horizon, because we have the Tower card right underneath it. And even just their face in the Tower card, I hope you can see. It's like, I keep getting this feeling of like, it was going to happen anyway, or it's like you'll be happier when it's done type of thing. And the Tower card is all about, I keep I keep pressing the screen just to be sure that it's focused, because sometimes it doesn't, and it'll just be blurry the whole time, and that's annoying. So if you're ever wondering like what I'm doing over here, anyway, especially even too, because we start with this card of hibernation and regeneration. I'm just kind of is there a take a nap, meditate. Sometimes you just need to pull back from the world for a while, rest, regroup, recharge, so you can return stronger, more capable of dealing with whatever awaits you outside your cave. Like, especially this combination, it's almost like there's not even necessarily anything that you need to do except for getting out of your own way. Whatever that is, The Tower card is actually associated to Mars. The High Priestess is, I think it kind of depends on who you ask, but it could be the Moon, Neptune, Jupiter, any one of those planets. But I started thinking about Mars, because Mars right now is like right bumped up with Pluto. So there is probably just some even like discomfort that you might be feeling. And again, it might just be like, this may not even be something that's happening right now, but it's like you can feel it. You know that there's something that is on the horizon that is changing, and it's almost kind of like maybe it worries you, maybe it scares you a little bit, and that could be in part because of the uncertainty of it. But with the hibernation and regeneration card coming out, it's almost like, just you can float through it if you want to. That's just kind of like the feeling that I'm getting. And the Tower is only going to affect the things in our life that is no longer serving us. It's not going to, create complete chaos without the purpose of making your life better. It may not feel like that in the moment, but once those things are cleared out, once those I keep wanting to say boundaries, but that's not it, because you should have boundaries. Roadblocks. It's like once those roadblocks are cleared out, or even just old timelines that had just kind of been left open-ended, like once those have just been closed out, or, whatever the case may be, then it's like, things can start to get better. You can rebuild something in your own image, exactly what you want it to be. We have the Seven of Pentacles, which is exactly that. It's focusing your energy, your resources, your time, like your physical presence into building something, because it is Pentacles. It has to do with our money, how we get it, how we save it, how we spend it. It's our physical time. How do we spend our physical time? Where are we physically showing up in the world? It's also our physical body. It could be our health. And she's here in this vineyard, and she's got her book here for notes. Maybe she is going to read at some point. But right now, the attention is on the grapes. Like what's the progress on that? And it is like, again, it's focusing your attention on something in order to build it, to manifest it even into the physical reality. It's the fruits of your labor. But in order to receive the fruits of your labor, literally, because she's, there's grapes in this picture, but in order to receive the fruits of your labor, you first have to grow the fruit. And in order to grow the fruit, you have to show up. You have to tend to your grapevines, right? Like you can't just plant the seed and then expect, a whole orchard to grow out of the blue. You have to water it. You have to maintain it. You have to make sure that there's no disease or fungicide or whatever that is affecting them. So again, and that also even has to do like with your physical body. How are you feeling? And it's interesting that it's paired with the Eight of Swords, because the Eight of Swords is this like self-inflicted mind prison. It's being in a state where you feel like there's no way out. You feel like you don't have a choice. It could even just be that there's too many things, like there's too many decisions that have to be made. We can see the person in this card. There's swords all around her, and her hands are bound, but she could, if she were to make the decision, she could get herself out of this situation. She's literally one decision away from doing that. It could even be a way of like protecting yourself, because who put these swords around her, right? Swords have to do with our mind. It's our perspective. It's our thoughts, ideas, inspiration. It's also truth and honesty, but it's like divine truth, right? It's objective, based on fact, or based on, what you know to be true or what you can prove to be true. I also see swords as being the card of ego, because that's generally where we hear our ego is in our minds. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to situations, to relationships, to ourselves. It's the reason why we do and don't do things. It's the reason why we make decisions in the way that we do make decisions, right? So it's interesting even too that we have this progression from the 7 to the 8, even though they're different elements, different suits. Even this cat is like, this cat is even kind of like, how secure is this thing? Like, is it easy to push over? Can we, like, let's go. What are we doing? So again, you could be in this state of not knowing what you want to do. It could be, like, where do you want to focus your attention? And especially because we're talking 7 of Pentacles, it's like you do want to focus your attention on something that is going to bear fruit, right? But it's like, what is that? What options are available? This is, like being a little stressed about it, but also it's like that thing of no decision is the same as making a decision. Like you have to try something. You have to put your energy into something to see how it goes, to see even if you like it, to see if there is a possibility of there being an abundant future in it. And so we have then the 5 of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles. And the feeling that I'm getting from the 5 of Cups, because the 5 of Cups is generally like a card of grieving or loss or depression. In most cases, it obviously, cups obviously have to do with our emotions. And the 5 cups, we can see that she's focused here on these 3 cups that have spilled over, but there's still, there's still these 2 cups here. But the focus is on these 3 cups. So the feeling that I'm getting is that the reason why there's maybe even, it's interesting, this V right here, the High Priestess in reverse, the 8 of Swords, and the 5 of Cups. It's like you could be putting yourself in that energy because you're focused so much on what hasn't worked, especially as a third line, right? And it might just be a really good thing to remember or to understand, because the third line is on the unconscious side. It's something that we feel in our body. So it's not something that we're consciously aware of. Like, you might consciously be aware that you like reading or learning about things. You like trying things out, with that first line, investigator. Because it's about seeking out knowledge, researching, however you do it. It's not like just sitting at a computer or going to a library or something and researching a subject, but maybe there's something like on social media or something that you saw a lot of and thought it was something that you wanted to do, or maybe there's something right now that you feel you might like to do, but it's like, instead of going towards that thing, instead of trying it or seeing if there's any opportunity to try the thing, the focus is on the things that haven't worked. And that third line is all about trial and error. You are meant to try things. You're meant to see if they work or not, right? Like, it's not a mistake. It's not a waste of time. It's very much exactly what you are meant to do. And by trying things, you're never, nothing is ever permanent, right? Like, if you try something, you decide you don't like it, or if you decide you want to go, like you like this aspect of it, but you want to try it in this direction, start looking for opportunities to do that, right? But instead, again, right, I kind of keep going back to the Five of Cups because I feel like I haven't explained it all the way that I like how I want to. But the focus is on the 3 cups that are on the ground. They're already spilled out. You can't get the liquid back in them. It's already done, right? So, but instead of realizing that there's still these 2 cups here, that maybe they're empty, maybe there's wine in them, there's a wine bottle there, who knows? But instead of realizing that there are still opportunities available to you, you're focused on what hasn't worked out for you and the ways that maybe it hasn't worked out. And maybe even too, the emotional energy that it took out of you to be disappointed. Maybe, like by whatever it was that didn't work out, maybe it took a lot of emotional energy out of you to recover from the thing, because you thought it was the thing, right? But, however, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. It's more about being aware of when we're doing that. Because, again, being that third line, you are meant to try things. You are meant to make and break bonds. You are meant to research something and then try it and test it, right? Like, see if how you thought you were going to feel about it is actually the way that you feel about it. See if how you thought it was going to work out actually is the way that it worked out. And if it didn't, then pivot, try something else. There's nothing wrong with that, except for, of course, the emotional attachment to it. So even just allowing yourself to be a little less emotionally attached to things, because truly, the art of detachment is so convenient because it allows you to move on to things that bring you joy versus staying in an energy that doesn't, that makes you feel bad, that has you focusing on these 3 cups instead of focusing on the 2 cups that are behind. And it's interesting that it's paired with the 10 of Pentacles, because the 10 of Pentacles is abundance. It's legacy, it's wealth, it's generational wealth. It could be creating generational wealth because we have generations on this card here. There's this big house. Look at these grapes too, like the grapes that were from the 7 of Pentacles. These weren't even quite ripe yet. Look at them. They're still green, a little purple in there, but look at these grapes, vibrant purple. You figured something out here. And even to the point of being able to support you and a family, start a family if you want to, because this is, again, there are family members in this card. It's, again, growing generational wealth. My dog is going to start barking. So again, right, it's like if you can switch your focus away from these 3 cups, draw your focus into these 2 cups, then you will find the level of success that you're looking for is available. This also, it feels like very comfortable, very grounded also. It has this feeling of ease. I mean, there's no sadness in this card, right? Compared to the 5 of Cups. So it's interesting that we have the 3 of Wands at the bottom of the deck, because the 3 of Wands is about heading in a direction. Like the Ace of Wands is the spark, that new passion thing that shows up. The 2 of Wands is the 3 of Wands so the 2 of Wands is planning for the future. You have this Ace of Wands, you have this spark, you have this, new idea, this new passion. The 2 of Wands is, okay, what do I do with that? What possibilities are there? And the 3 of Wands is when you start trying, when you start acting on those possibilities, you start sending energy out there. Wands are the card of action. And again, right? Like that's how we learn what we like, what we don't like, what works and what doesn't work, by trying things. So I love that this is at the bottom of the deck, because it is like, again, this message about trying something, but it starts with getting quiet enough to hear what you even want to do. Like what things do you want to explore? We have the Star card behind that, which is, to me, like, I heard hopes and dreams coming true. It's literally, manifesting in the 5D and bringing it down into the 3D. And the star is like the space that's literally right between the two. It's also the card of Aquarius. Mars is in Aquarius right now. Mars is very, passionate. It's a go-getter, right? Like it's very assertive. It's asserting yourself, going after something. So again, it's like this balance though between resting, but it's like, and I'm gonna wrap it up here, but it's intentional, or like, what's the word? Like productive rest, because the whole point in doing so is, for one, if you need it. Again, right? If you are not an energy being, and even if you are, prioritize rest. But also just to be able to hear yourself and get clear on the things that you want to take steps towards. So thank you so much for going on this journey with me. And thank you for allowing me to read your cards. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.